Welcome back to the channel of truth, trust, and transparency. I wanted to put together today my top 16 or 16 most common marketing terminology, phrases, bullshit that I hear on the market. I see it on ads, I see it on LinkedIn, I see it everywhere. For some reason, every buyer's agent is using the same ones. I'm going to tell you what they are, and I'm going to tell you what they actually mean so you can avoid them like the plague, and you know how they actually operate. Now, I've got nothing to lose by this, and I think it's time that everyone sort of knew how these guys how these guys actually operate and what the value that they're actually bringing, if any. I want to start today's episode off with a really interesting story. I was on a call a few weeks back, and he was 50-50 between joining us for the course and signing up and using a buyer's agency. And I just asked him about that particular experience with the buyer's agent. And he said, look, on the call, he mentioned the suburbs that they're buying in. I said, okay, and was the plan to put you into these suburbs? And he said, yeah. He shared a few of the suburbs that they're buying in. I said, okay, how long was the call? 20, 30 minutes. Okay. Well, what else did you talk about on the call? Oh, look, he told me a little bit about their company and their process and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so he did most of the talking. Yeah, okay. So my question to this particular member was, how can someone on a 20 to 30 minute first call, this guy had not paid any money, this is that an introductory discovery call, hadn't paid any money, and the buyer's agent was willing to tell them the areas that they were buying in. Now, here's my issue with that. One, they have taken zero time, effort, to understand that person's particular circumstance. So how can I, again, and if you've been following my content, how can they bring that area to you, show you and present it to you and say, hey, this is what I think you should buy. This is where I think you should buy. When they haven't even listened to that particular person, they don't know your budget. They don't know what you're looking for. Is it long-term hold and stability? Is it a quick equity play? Is it a renovator? What's your budget? Because that's going to vary, and that's going to be a different suburb. So when they say that we're buying in, that's what they actually means is, look, we're pushing all our clients into this particular area. Now, it works well for the buyer's agent. Why? Because when they're in one particular suburb and they go to the real estate agents and they say, hey, I've got 20 clients, send me everything you have, it means that they have to do sweet F all work to be able to actually do any suburb research. They put away and they disregard any suburb research. They just go straight to this suburb that they've been in for whatever client or for whatever reason. They don't want to do the work of finding you the suburb, of knowing your personal details, or putting that personalized property plan together with you. They go, look, we've got these deals, and essentially what they'll end up doing is, we're buying in this particular suburb. Then they'll use these negotiation tactics or these slimy sales tactics to say, look, this particular deal's come up. You've only got a few hours. We think it's really good. You really need to make a decision, and they force you into closing that deal. What it actually means is they're probably too lazy to go out and find new suburbs to match your actual brief. And they want to make it a lot easier because they've already been buying this particular suburb, and they'll go back to the agents they've already used. The issue with that is that you have a huge volume of investors buying in that particular area. What does that mean? Well, if the area does not have the demand for the investor stock, you're going to have vacancy rates creep up. You're going to have the buyer's agents actually artificially increasing the market, because if it's only investors and buyer's agents buying in there, competing against themselves, they can artificially, if they've got the next 20 purchases of that particular market, and let's say the market's bringing 5 deals online per month, and they have trying to buy the next 4 months worth of work, they can artificially increase the price of that market. So what they say when we're buying in XYZ, they actually mean that, look, we're going to put you in this market because it is less time and effort for us. And we don't want to take the time and effort to individually and personally craft something for you, and you'll get thrown into the circus that is everyone else. Number two, one of the biggest furphies in Australian property investing at the moment, and this one actually popped up in the DMs where I had a guy reach out to me and wanting to come on the podcast, the Everything Property podcast. And I said, look, I don't really have buyer's agents on, but I mean, show me some of the deals and show me some of the value that you've been able to produce for clients. I mean, I'm always open to it. But anyway, the deals that this guy sent through, the first thing I did was I took the suburb, I opened it up in H-Tag, and I went through and I was like, dude, vacancy rates are increasing, stock on market's increasing. I said, days on markets are increasing. Yeah, you've bought sub 400K, but why? Oh, it's under replacement costs. Do me a favor. Guys, over COVID and with construction prices increasing 30% plus, I hate to break it to you, but it is likely that any property that you buy sub $650,000 to $700,000 is going to be under replacement cost. That should not be the reason. That should not be the leading driver, especially in that sub 600K mark, for you to buy it, because basically any house in that particular price range is under replacement cost. Please, there needs to be the data of the suburb needs to be a green flag before we proceed to the asset. You've just went straight to the asset and be like, oh, well, yeah, you can't build it for more. I get it. I get the reasoning and the logic, but there are so many things wrong with that. And I think that just means that you can buy in with that logic, you could then buy in any market under 700 grand and be like, oh, it's under replacement cost. Come on, bro. What are we doing here? Literally. The next one, the next two probably tie into each other, and that is under market value. Let's be honest, under market value. Now, the reason I think this is pretty bullshit anyway, and it's pretty clear. Like, let's take a market that's let's say the typical price is 550 and you've bought for 500. Just because you've bought under the typical price doesn't mean you've built in for 50 grand worth of equity. When you have a typical price range, let's call it any price of 600, you're going to have property in that market worth 700, and you're going to have property in that market worth 500. Because there's markets within markets. This can change because of street. This can change because of orientation, bushfire, flooding overlays, proximity to the local town village, cemetery, all those kinds of different things will give us different market value. So when they go, oh yeah, we bought under market value, I'm like, is this a market value that you guys have determined? Are you using the typical price? Because I'd say none of that shit actually counts. And it is just a bit of an ego pump to say to the client to say, yeah, look, it's under market value, blah, 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 blah. The next one is bullshit too. People will say, oh, we bought this house for $500,000. And on the same street, there is a direct market comparable for $550,000. But here's the funny thing about that shit. They never, ever, ever show you what they bought, and they never show you the direct market comparison. Why? Because it isn't a direct comp. You can't just say on the same street, oh, we bought a 3-bed, 1-bath, 1-car for 500, and there was another 3-bed, 1-bath, 1-car that sold for 600. Oh, we bought 100 grand under market value, or there's a direct comp 100 grand cheaper. Well, there's so many other things, even on the same street. Orientation was the part that the side of the street that you got was the lower side, and they had a elevated side. Is there, certain overlays on that side of the street? Is the under roof square meter size of that comparison 40 square meters bigger? Is there 2 living rooms? Is there a study in that other comp that makes it more expensive? They'll never tell you or never show you this. Floor plan for floor plan, direct comparison. Even next door, the same thing can be applied. It could be an extra 100 square meters under roof. The one that they've bought might have shocking layouts, and the rooms could be 3 by 2.7, and they're comparing it to, they're comparing it to a direct comparable that has, 3 bedrooms that are all 3.5 by 3, it has 2 living areas, and it also has a study. The two things aren't the same, and I get the feeling, I don't want to assume anything, but I get the feeling that the reason that they do it like that, and the reason that they say that but they don't show you, is because it's not a direct market comparable, and there's a couple of things that they're not telling us here. I hate to call it how it is, but ask yourself, have you ever seen photo for photo layouts of that full direct comparison, or is it just one that they refer to? Half the time it probably doesn't even exist. But alas, think about that next time you hear someone say direct comparable, even on the same street. Do they show you that property internally, externally, map view, all that kind of stuff? Or they just, they go, oh, direct comparable down the road. Come on, guys, it's a bit bullshit. The next one you need to look out for, and it comes into one of the earlier YouTube videos that I've made, but if you're just picking up my channel now, is people that say we work with X, Y, and Zs, we work with builders, we work with developers, we work with to get you the best price. Guaranteed that when they say that, it means we get paid by builders, developers, those kinds of guys. You get paid by your boss, you're working for him. They're getting paid by builders and developers. They're working for them, and they're selling you the product. I know that they front themselves as working for you all the time, but they're not. So anyone that says that we work with, watch out and avoid like the red flag. The next one on the list, and I think it comes down to, a little bit of the saying, jack of all trades, master of none. But the guys that say we can do that too, the issue that I have with that is like you have these people that try to stack absolutely, every single service, one-stop shops. More often than not, there is just not a lot of people out there that do this properly. And the only reason that they include all those different services under one roof is to increase the price per customer that they are acquiring for revenue for their business. If they're just stinging you for, say, a buyer's agent fee, and they do the mortgage broking and all that kind of stuff in-house, it's because they can go ping you on the mortgage broking, ping you on the conveyancing, ping you on some sort of wealth strategy and all that kind of stuff. It is for their bottom line end of the day. And I think anyone that is watching this and potentially that's how they run their business, you probably can't lie to me to say the reason that you've brought in all those other arms is because your overheads are now starting to grow and grow and grow compared to your revenue. And you thought, how can we bolt on some things on the side of this machine to be able to bring some more revenue in the door? Correct me if I'm wrong, but most of the time, this is how it happens. What would I rather instead? I'd rather go to, like, for example, mortgage broking. If you're a first home buyer, for example, I want to go to a mortgage broker that specializes in first home buyers and investors. Good example of this, and I'll give you it for free. Aidan Hartley. He specializes in first home buyers and first time investors. That is 100% of his deals where he's focused and dialed into bank policies and all that kind of stuff to suit. Now, if you're going to someone that specializes in first-time buyers and then self-managed super fund and then, construction loans and all that kind of stuff, just think about it logically like this. If they have 100 loans and they do 100 loans a year, it is not possible for 100% of their time and effort and energy to be focused on any of those one tasks. So they might have 10 loans for first-home buyers, 10 for self-managed super funds, 10 for construction loans, 10, and they've broken it that way. Think about it logically. if you get a guy that's specializing in that one thing, he's done 100 loans and that he is 10 times more experienced compared to the guy that's the jack of all trades. So I think someone that says we can do that too and tries to load that in, it's just something to be wary of, because it means that they're, again, trying to go a mile wide and an inch deep rather than an inch wide and a mile deep. I would prefer the dude that's specializing in that loan or that particular thing that I want from him, rather than someone that tries to have it all under one umbrella. The next one on the list is going to be instant equity. This one's a bit of a furphy. They might say, look, we bought something for 600 grand and, Core Logic valuation report puts it in at 625. That means by the time my client settled on it, it's instant equity. Look, let's be honest. The Core Logic or the realestate.com valuation that you see pop up is not what the banks use. The banks will conduct their own valuations. And unless it is a authorized bank valuation that shows the difference between that, will you have instant equity? There is a good chance that most banks, if they give you the loan and say it's worth 600, when you are settling, it is going to be, that amount of money. The instant equity thing, I think, is a bit of a buzzword, is a bit of a catchphrase that they try to use. Let's just use round numbers. If I've bought a $600,000 house and I've paid a 10% deposit, my loan is at $540. And that goes up to 620, and they'll go, oh, it's instant equity. The issue that you have with this is that the LVR, even if that $600,000 loan goes up to 620, the LVR of that property and the loan is still higher than 80%. So although you might try to argue with me to say that, oh, there's 20 grand of instant equity, it isn't actually accessible or usable equity anyway. So what is the point of the whole situation? They try to pull the wool over people's eyes like this to say, oh, look, instant equity. But my friend, 80% of a $600,000 loan is $480,000. So it tells me you are still in, you were still in that property. If my loan is at, quick maths, if that property goes from 600 to 700 with my 540 loan, then I have 20 grand worth of equity, because 80% of 700, we know we take off $140,000 and we go down to 560. If my loan was at 530, then I'd have $20,000 of usable equity. But very uncommon to see, you buying something for 600 and then it being revalued 100 grand later by the time you settle on it. So I think instant equity is a little bit of a bullshit sort of fucking terminology. The next is going to be recession proof. If I had $1 for every time I've seen this, I could probably take you and I for lunch pretty easily. Guys, I don't get this marketing term, recession-proof property. In a recession, the first thing to be impacted is likely going to be the commercial. We all are still going to need some sort of roof over our heads, and obviously, if it is affordable and it's not renting in Vaucluse for $10,000 a week, people are still going to need to rent it out, and people are still going to need to rent. So residential homes and accommodation are, I think, recession-proof. And I think you buying a recession-proof asset is that. I don't see what your extra value at, especially if it is an affordable asset, that it is recession-proof compared to, a normal investment property at, say, a $600,000 price range. Doesn't make sense to me, but let's chuck it on the marketing material anyway, right, guys? Come on, do me a favor. The next marketing phrase that I hear all the time, and it's really been popular the last probably 2 years, is data-driven. Everyone is data-driven these days. Guys, answer this simple question for me. I get it, but what were you using before that? Before you branded yourself as data-driven? Isn't that the whole point? That we're buying investment properties or development sites using data? Like, I don't get it. This is like labeling myself as a human that breathes oxygen, or Or an Uber driver that drives a car. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. You should be using data to drive results. What else were you using beforehand? Yeah, we'll go there. Like, come on, man. What are we doing here? Everyone's data driven now. Yeah, of course you should be. But it's just like now that if everyone uses it, it loses its value. So now that everyone uses it, I think it's pretty common and most people know and will get out of that in a discovery call or your website that you use data. That's what you should be using. I don't see why people are putting that in there. Trying to sound smart potentially, who knows? Another good one is people saying how many deals that they reject. Like, I get it, but just because you've signed up for a real estate agent's, newsletter and marketing campaign doesn't mean you can just pile all them in as deals rejected. Most people could do that too. And it tells me think about it this way. If you got really, really focused and granular on your brief and you had that with agents, why would you be rejecting so many deals? Like, is this just like a number to throw out in the air to say, oh, we reject 97%? Most of the time, I think that number is pulled from where. We reject 97% of the deals that, we've been given. Come on, guys. Come on. We get it. You've got big volume coming through the doors. But at the end of the day, no one really cares about how many that you're rejecting. What does it matter? You'd rather show people that you reject a heap of deals? Okay, cool. I don't get this one. The next also ties into this, and it is like percentage of deals off market or we've secured XYZ off market. Let me tell you this pretty honestly. Off market isn't the be all and end all, and there are certain reasons why people are selling off market. Sometimes it could be their house is trashed. Sometimes it could be they want an absolute premium. Sometimes it could be the agent just testing the market and the waters. There are so many reasons why people sell off market. And I think the psyche and the sort of the narrative is that, I need to go to a buyer's agent and so that they can get me an off market deal. It doesn't. There are good deals that go on market. There are good deals that go off market, but I'm not a buyer's agent. The last deal that I bought is off market. Had plenty of members as well. Get granular, build relationships with real estate agents. The real estate agent knows their brief and they've been presented off markets. I've been able to do it too. I don't think it's hard to get an off market. I think people use this as a sexy marketing tool. Oh yeah, we got it off market. Cool, but like it's no real big pull for me. Like everyone does that. Everyone gets it off market. It's not hard. To say the percentage deals of what you get off market, again, is it for marketing purposes? I don't know. Because at the end of the day, if I'm a seller and I want top dollar, I'm going to go on market. So the deals that you're picking off market, I'd like to know what is wrong with them or what is the issue around them, because you just can't buy everything off market. People want to take it to market to be able to get fair pricing. So I think a lot of these numbers are a bit of fluff, a bit exaggerated, and sometimes just pull for thin air. My next issue, and don't get me wrong, before I say this one, I got to say that we're guilty. I'm guilty of doing it, but in a different way. So for some reason, everyone wants to be Australia's biggest buyer's agency. This could be an ego thing. I don't know. Everyone wants to be the biggest, but why not be the best, most consistent, most trusted? Those kinds of things. Now, hand up in the air. I've come out and publicly said I want to be Australia's #1 real estate podcast, everything property. But that goal is measurable. You can see charts. You can see listens and numbers. You can log on, and I share it as well on my story when we get on to in the top 50 on Spotify or Apple lists. When we chart, when we're on there, you can see it. It is a goal that can be measured. Australia's biggest buyer's agency. I don't get why people want to do this, because let's be honest, if you are the biggest, you have the most staff, overheads, and all that kind of stuff, it doesn't mean that you're the best. And I think everyone's missing the point here. Everyone wants to try to be the biggest and build and scale. I get it. It's cool and it's a buzzword, but no one's trying to be the actual best. And I don't think that comes with being the biggest. Biggest means more overheads, means more churn. And then you get into the churn and burn because you've got so many staff and overhead that, you can't take the time required to spend with individual clients to really find them that deal because you've got all that churn, bro. So you're getting them in and out the door as quick as possible. Next, which means look at how you're treating your clients and what you're setting them up with. So I don't think being the biggest is the answer. I want to be number one. And the simple reason is because I am independent, I'm transparent, and I'm trying to get the education over the line for everyone. And I know that if I'm number one, I've increased my chances dramatically to be able to get the word out there to as many people as possible. But I don't think you have the same sorts of benefits if you're the number one biggest buyer's agency. Now, next is one that pisses me off and is the reason why I have turned off YouTube ads for both this account and the Everything Property podcast account. I don't run any ads because I feel like the people that buy the ad space or that are trying to target my audience always say this. I see this probably once a day. Next boom locations. Come on, guys. Next boom locations. This is two. So this is number 13 and number 14. Next boom locations and hotspots revealed. You will see this on a fucking YouTube ad or a Facebook ad to click something, fill in a form to get access to these next boom locations. My issue with this is that boom and hotspots don't exist. The reason is because everyone's got a different brief. Everyone's got a different budget. That means you're looking at different markets. So if I came and held up this thing and said, this is the number one boom location and it is a typical price of $750,000, well then old mate Joe Blow over there that's only got a budget of $450,000 goes, oh, cool, but I can't afford that. So for him, it's not a boom location. He's looking at different areas. So that's why they don't really exist. What happens in marketing 101, if you're not across it, you don't understand how it works, I will let you know how it works. They put this ad up. No one will tell you in the ad what it is. Maybe they'll share like number 10 or something like that. But I see this all the time. Basically, fill in a form to get a PDF or to go to a live webinar where they try to tell you on it. Essentially, they want all your contact details as well as everything under the sun, including the itinerary of the trip that you did to Bali 6 years ago, so that they can call you every single day and not leave you alone until they can sign you up for their service. These things don't exist, and there is plenty of free information and education out there for you guys to get access to without having to sign your life away and give away those sorts of details. So boom locations, hotspots, number 13, number 14, please do me a favor, laugh next time you see these ads rather than signing up to think that you're on some miracle drug anyway, because because think about it this way as well. If let's just say I'm a buyer's agent and I'm charging $25,000 a client. I've got on one pool, I've got clients paying me $25,000 in one hand, and I've got free people leads coming through on the internet. If you're paying me $25,000 and putting me into these boom locations, okay, great. Are you giving away those same locations free to those people that are coming through on a lead? Because if I'm paying $25,000 to get the same thing someone's getting for free, I'm a bit pissed off. So the answer is they're probably not. They're probably giving you the locations that they've already been in and exited so that you jump in after to push the prices up. That's typically how it works. No one's going to be taking $20,000 or $25,000 from a client saying, hey, thank you, appreciate it. This is the location we're putting. We're also going to put that for free. That's behind a ad on the internet that needs a name and an email, and we're going to give away that location too, that they're buying in to create more competition for them. If you think that that's what they're doing, come on, guys. You're on YouTube. You're learning about property. You are smarter than that. Do me a favor. The next one, same boat. Number 15 on the list is legal tax hacks. There are groups out there that are absolutely prone to do this. Guys, get yourself a property savvy accountant that owns and has built a portfolio for himself and for other clients. If you need a recommendation, I'm happy to give you one for free. Go and talk to them directly. Don't even tell them that I sent you. That's how much I do not care about little referral fees. But anyone that says legal tax hacks, the ATO is smart. I've said this before. The ATO is smarter than you think, and there is no tax hacks. Everyone knows how it works. A good property savvy accountant will be able to lay out the lay of the land for you. Again, same thing, fill in the form and let us call you 24 hours, 7 days a week to sign you up for some bullshit service. Last but not least, this one has been used to death, and I see it all the time. Free due diligence checklist. Let me tell you the truth about free due diligence checklists. One, it is not the due diligence checklist that particular agency is using in-house. And two, most of the time, either you don't get it when you sign up, it's just to get your contact details, or if they do, it is absolute bullshit. And I'll give you an example. Now, I'm not going to name the buyer's agency. They're meant to be pretty big and pretty good, but I've downloaded a 100-point due diligence checklist. And I'm going to read out, I've got it on my screen, I'm going to read out some of the points that they've put on this 100-point due diligence checklist. And you ask me if you think that this is good quality and worth it. Build your team. 1, finance broker, accountant, buyer's agent. Of course, the buyer's agent puts buyer's agents on the due diligence checklist. Property manager, town planner. I wouldn't even say you need a town planner. But is that what's on a due diligence checklist? Did I need to download a PDF for that? Come on. What are we talking about? This is my personal favorite. Questions to ask the agent. How long has the property been on the market? Do me a favor. If you're asking this to an agent, you are communicating to an agent that you've got a red dot on your forehead. You know nothing. How dumb can you be to ask the agent that particular question? Like you haven't been researching that suburb and you've refreshed realestate.com and you've seen it pop up and you've seen that it's listed on Tuesday and then you went on Saturday. How long has the property been on the market? Bro, visit the REA listing. You can see it on the bottom of how long. Why do you need to ask the agent that? Why is that on the due diligence checklist? Do me a favor. Come on. The next, how many offers have you had already? A good agent's always going to say 3 or 4 because he doesn't want to let you know there's none. And then he also wants to let you know competition. I'm pretty sure that's what they teach too. Scotty Agate in the course talks about shit like that all the time. A good agent's never going to say, oh, we haven't had any offers. There's always going to be a couple floating around. Come on. I can't believe I'm reading this. This could be good. This could be stand-up material. It's that bad. Could you please provide some comparable sales? Guys, think about that for a second. Do you think asking an agent for comparable sales is going to be a wise thing? Do you think he's not going to price position you and give you more expensive properties than what that property's actually worth? If you're dumb enough to ask an agent for comparable sales, you're dumb enough to be buying that thing for whatever price the agent asks for. This is what I mean. These things are absolutely shit. Like, why would you put out a due diligence checklist as a lead gen magnet that is this bad? I don't know. What's the land tax value on the property? The agent's not going to know that. He's going to say, here's the you can find that out. Ask for the contract and look at the rates. It's going to be calculated on there. Is the tenant currently paying market rent? I'd shout you a coffee if you're a real estate agent and you didn't say, oh, I reckon, I think it's below market rent. I reckon we can get a little bit more for this one. Like, who is going to ask that? Why would you ask the agent that question? I feel like this actual bit of material is set up to lead you to set up to have you fail. Here's another good one. Property details, land boundaries. Make sure you are measuring actual fences to ensure the boundaries match. Are you kidding? Do these guys think that you're going to get out there and measure fence to fence to see that it matches? I'm so confused why you'd put that in there. No one is going out to do that. And it doesn't matter anyway. If you're happy with where it is, you can get you can spend $1,200 and get a survey and then move a fence if you need for what, an extra probably 30 mil? You're going to be able to see it anyway in the deposited. You're going to see it anyway in the deposited plan on the contract, what the dimensions of the block are. But I haven't really seen too many cases where a fence is out a few meters that would warrant you ripping down an entire fence to reestablish it. And then good luck getting the neighbor to pay half under the Dividing Fences Act. Come on. This is what I mean. The due diligence checklists and how they use these sorts of things, guys. I believe personally that lead generation, get you in, get your details to contact you. Most of the time, like this one here, and I won't name who this agency is, but things like that, it's either going to be shit or it might give you the common ones. Check the zoning, property title. Like, they're not going to give you away their full due diligence checklist that they use in-house because they don't want to enable you with this skill set to be able to do it yourself. They want you reliant on them. Otherwise, they make themselves redundant. And that wouldn't be a very good business model, would it? But look, that's all I have for today. A bit of a longer episode, probably a bit of a rant, but the reason that I put this together, because I'm sure if you've made it this far, you've heard 1, 2, or probably 10 of those things, and you can share it with potentially some other people that might find it valuable. And then now you'll know when the next one pops up just how BS it actually is. I appreciate it as usual, guys. And as always, I will see you tomorrow.